Hey guys, I've got some odd obstacles to talk about. So, this is going to be a fairly short episode. I've been having some health challenges, but I did want to just kind of give an update about what's going on and talk about some odd obstacles that I have. Um, if you don't know this, which you probably do if you're listening to this podcast, lots of writers are introverted. I consider myself an omnivert. I can't remember where I saw that term. I'm sure it was like a blog post or some kind of article that I read. And it's basically where I am most comfortable, kind of like on my own and secluded. But there are times when I can like be around people like under certain conditions and I kind of thrive there. And so when I speak to other people who are introverted and I find that I am less introverted than some of them. That's where I really feel like this idea of the omnivert um, comes into play, kind of like an omnivore where you eat both plants and animals. I can do well in both environments, but I do kind of thrive in a more small, um, quiet, controlled environment. And so the obstacle that I'm faced with right now is um, which I didn't even know this was a thing. This is something that I'm learning about myself is meeting new people in my local environment and how to like go about doing that. So let me give you a little bit of history. I'm not going to drag this out too long. So the reason why I'm consider myself an omnivert is again because when I talk to other introverts and I tell them that I do like video content, they're just like, "Oh no, I could never do that." For me, I don't mind doing video content because even though I'm, speaking into a camera and it could be seen by a whole lot of people, not that it will be, I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm safe in front of the camera. But I guess other introverts, that's a lot for them. Okay. Another thing is I don't like crowds. I don't like big, noisy, kind of cluttered things, but I do have like a desire to sometimes be in those environments. And so it's like this kind of tug of war that I'm playing with myself. Like I love going to cons, fantasy cons, comic cons, things like that. But I always get like overwhelmed in those environments. Like I can only go so far before I have to stop and breathe and kind of hide behind my support system, which is usually my husband. Um, and so it's like I have a desire to like be in those more extroverted environments, but as long as I can like stay in the shadows and not be noticed too much. With that said, if I am in those environments, I have found two ways in which I can actually kind of thrive in those environments. And it's very much all about, the control and the feeling of safety that I'm able to create in that environment. So again, as a writer, if I am at an event like that and I have, say, like a vendor table, that table is like my security system. Um, People don't come behind the table; they just walk up and down the aisles, and so it's a way for me to like be in that environment, but still feel kind of safe, have a cutoff to where I can kind of isolate if I need to. Another thing, which is other introverts have told me that that doesn't make any sense is that I am pretty good at public speaking. And honestly, I think that has to do with growing up in a Pentecostal church in the South. Whether you wanted to be like outgoing or not, it was just kind of like embedded. You had to get up and speak at different points as even as children. And so, um, you know, people have different environments that they grow up in. Sometimes they stay in those environments, sometimes they leave those environments, sometimes they find a balance in between. But I do think that um, public speaking is something that I'm able to do because of that initial upbringing. In school you take classes, you get like credits and things for like public speaking classes or whatever. And I took one in high school. And if I'm being totally honest, I took another one in college just because I was trying to fill up another credit. And I figured that would be a pretty easy class. And even my professor was like, "Why are you in this class?" They kind of knew that I was taking it for an easy credit. But the point is, is that I don't mind public speaking. And again, I feel like because there's this invisible barrier, like when you're standing up in front of a crowd, at least the crowds that I've been in so far, there are certain crowds that I would not speak in. I'm just, putting that out there. I'm not infallible for that. But in the situations where I've put myself in to like be in front of the crowd, there is this like invisible barrier, this separation between me and the crowd. And then when I'm finished, I can get, shuffled away to someplace safe to like decompress and things like that. So the challenge that I'm faced with now is I'm trying to get the word out and I don't have that safety. Like I don't have the vendor table. Well, that's not entirely true. I did recently attend an event where I was vending and the table was my security blanket. And so I did fine there. For instance, the what I am talking about is a situation where I'm like posting and passing out flyers for some of the things that I'm trying to do. That is me being in the crowd, not being at the vendor table or behind the podium. And that's the kind of the obstacle, the challenge that I'm faced with right now. And it's not something that is like debilitating. It's nerve-wracking, but I know that it's something that I have to do. And so I've been making a little bit of progress with that just because I do want to, put myself out there to meet new people, even though I don't want to be in crowds. I know that sounds probably crazy, but anyway, that's kind of what I have going on. I'm reconnecting with a lot of the writers that I've met throughout the past. I'm meeting new writers, I'm making connections, and I feel pretty good about where things are going. And I just have to stay on top of my health issues so that I can follow through with everything. And that's where I am. If you have any tips or tricks on overcoming like some of these obstacles when you are, hitting the pavement, as they say, and speaking to people face to face and trying to hand out flyers, I'm totally up for the tips because usually wherever I go, I, will be behind like a corner or something like that, suck in a couple of deep breaths, try not to vomit, do what I have to do, and then afterwards go back and do the same thing. It's just kind of a back and forth of me trying not to vomit. But if only I could take that vendor table with me everywhere I go. So that's all I have for today. I'm very excited about the prospect of finding a venue for a side project that I don't think I've mentioned here yet because I'm not going to until things have fully worked out. But I'm excited about that. So until next time, guys, stay safe, be blessed, keep reading. Lit Carnivale #7, starring Toy Thomas, featuring no one else at this time. Topics discussed: introvert versus omnivert. Odd obstacles. Produced by Toy Thomas in association with the Toy Box of Words and Lit Carnivale. Directed by Toynet Toy Thomas. Thanks again to the Lit Carnivale community at Substack and on YouTube. Your book fandom is here.